It's your daily dose of Dana, and today is part 2 of my podcast. Just kidding. No, it's not. It's just another day, but it is covering, we will be talking part 2 of the Bethenning. I renamed it Bethenny and Rachel Leviss's sit down bombshell interview that they had, as they say. Okay. We have so much to talk about, you guys. Welcome to the show. I love all the new subscribers on YouTube. The listens on my and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc., are just exploding. It's awesome. You guys are killing it. And of course, on TikTok and on Instagram. Thank you so much for following. I think you're going to have a lot of fun in this realm. I try to bring a sense of lightness, fun, and kind of just covering the topics, but I'm not going to shy away from my opinion. Okay. But I'm not going to try to be horrible about it. Anyway, so many comments are coming in on TikTok, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be based on people's reactions to not only the Bethenny podcast, but also, of course, my comments about the Bethenny podcast. People are very heated about Bethenny. One thing we know she can do is she can get people to talk, right? She can get people to talk. So I will tell you, I do my show live on TikTok every day, which I am right now for 110 of you guys. And then what I'm doing today, which is a little bit different, is I'm going to go over some things. I'm going to go over some just random in the news stories that I think are important to talk about so that we don't only talk about Bethenny in life. Then I'm going to go over some big things that came out in part 2 of Bethenny's interview. And then when we're done here with the live portion, I'm going to attach interview that I'm going to have right after this with Dana Omari, who is a pop culture junkie just like us. And she runs the Instagram account IG Famous by Dana. And she's actually Dana, spelled Dana, where I am Donna, spelled Dana. It's very confusing. She's Palestinian, I'm Israeli, and we're about to bridge the Middle East gap. We're about to, solve world problems talking about Bethenny and Rachel Leviss. So just tune in for that. That will come in a little bit. The Facebook group is growing by the moment. Thank you so much for joining. And if you joined the Patreon, I released an episode last night. I got a lot of comments about it. You guys really liked it. I talked about all kinds of things. I talked about Bethenny. I talked about the Rachel Leviss interview. I talked about some producers' insights. I talked about a little bit of the Kelly Dodd rant, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot, you guys. There's a lot going on in there. We talked a little bit about Kyle and Mauricio, traipsing around as one big happy family in Capri, as they say. They don't say Capri. They say Capri. Capri. Yes, thank you for joining the Patreon. We had a bunch new people join yesterday. It's only $5, which if you think about it, you guys, that's like a little over $1 an episode. It's nice. It's a nice show of support if you like my show. But like I said, no harm, no foul. Either way. Okay, y'all. Let's get into it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover just a few little things of news that I think we need to talk about because they're bubbling under the surface. And I don't want us to not be the podcast that talks about all the things. This is not just a Bethenny podcast, right? This is not just B with D. This is DDOD. That sounds bad. Daily dose of Donna with a shot of Bethenny, right? Like with a little side of Bethenny. Okay. So really quickly, do you guys know who Bobbi Althoff is? We have to talk for 5 minutes about Bobbi Althoff. If you don't know who she is, you're probably under a rock because I feel like she's everywhere right now. She was on the Today Show last week. She has millions and millions and millions of followers on TikTok, millions of followers on Instagram. She has a podcast called The Really Good Podcast, which is so new. I think she started in April and it's top of the charts because she has gotten huge interviews in just a few weeks. She's gotten Drake. She's gotten, oh God, I'm not going to say everyone right. She got Tyga. She got Mark Cuban. She's gotten a lot of really big names. And these are, for just considering that she doesn't have like a background in podcasting or anything, she just is so funny and so good. I'm a fan. Personally, I think she's funny. I think she's got a shtick that a lot of people don't understand. If you watch her, it's almost like, well, she plays a character essentially. I don't believe this is who she is in real life, but she plays this character of kind of uncomfortable, dry. It's like watching episodes of The Office. It's like those awkward silences and those awkward moments, and you feel uncomfortable watching it. It's really funny if you get that kind of humor. I personally love it. And I've really enjoyed kind of watching her story. So a little drama, which is what we're going to talk about here. And my girl Do from Dumois podcast, I was on her show last week. I was listening to it when we were DMing this morning because she mentions Bobbi and Drake. So just in case you guys don't know, Drake, the singer Drake, rapper, he did Bobbi's podcast very early on, which totally took her to a new level, right? She laid in bed with him for the podcast. It was so funny. It was so random. And it was a great episode. And they followed each other and really, clearly the chemistry was off the charts in terms of good entertainment. And the show just like took a new level. Well, out of nowhere, she goes to a Drake show and she records, someone films her standing in the side of the show watching the Drake show while all these other people are like, yeah, dancing. And she's just standing there, making her normal Bobbi, like, and her comment is something like, I feel out of place, or like, these are not my people. Obviously, she loves Drake and they have a good relationship at this point, and she's there at the show, I'm sure enjoying herself tremendously. But for this podcast, or for this video and for the shtick, again, she makes, oh, everyone drink. I got a DJ Tanner comment. No, I'm not Candace Cameron, but any day you get it, drink. I love you, Lourdes. So anyway, Bobbi films this reel, and all of a sudden people start to notice the next day she and Drake no longer follow each other. Okay. So at first people are thinking, oh my gosh, is this another one of her shticks? Is this another one of her kind of like things? Are they trying to drum up some publicity here? Well, Dumois spoke to someone on Drake's team who found out like, absolutely not. Drake doesn't play that game. Drake is not shticking this. This is real. There's drama. She unfollowed Bobbi. I mean, she unfollowed Drake and Drake unfollowed Bobbi. So everyone's speculating what happened. And one of the rumors that's been going around, which has been falsified, I want to just say this right now because I don't want you guys to take this rumor and run, is that Bobbi Althoff, the rumor was that Bobbi cheated on her husband. She's a mother and a wife. She cheated on her husband with Drake. Okay? This is just a rumor, stupid rumor. Now, meanwhile, Bobbi had just done BFF's podcast. That's Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. And Barstool Sports, it's a big podcast. His username is Stool Presidente. You guys probably have seen him around online. He's a polarizing figure, I would say, but he's funny. A lot of people like him. A lot of people don't. Name one person that's not the case. And she did his podcast last week or 2 weeks ago, and I listened to it because I like her. And it seemed like it went well, but I could tell like she was a little bit nervous to do the show. She didn't feel 100% comfortable. She wasn't sure if they were there to make fun of her, etc. So anyway, Bobbi is not on the show. And this last week, Dave Portnoy from Stool Presidente starts to have this conversation with his coworkers or like his co-hosts saying, wow, did you see that Bobbi and Drake unfollowed each other? I DM'd Bobbi and I asked her about this rumor that they had, that they slept together, that she and Drake slept together. And she said, beep. This was on the reel, the TikTok that went out. She said beep, and you see like a big blur thing. And then the other people are like, whoa, you just outed her? And that was it. Okay. Well, of course, what are people gonna think from that? What are people gonna think? They're gonna be like, holy shit, she slept with Drake. Now, it didn't happen. And the actual conversation that happened between Dave Portnoy and Bobbi was released by Bobbi last night in a DM. Her DM conversation, she screenshot it and released it. And basically it says, I'm not going to talk about this any further. I absolutely did not sleep with him. That didn't happen. But because people are just down for clicks, speaking of, Bethenny Frankel, they used this clip and kind of like edited it so that it looked like she was hiding the fact that she is having an affair. Okay. It was effed up. And then Dave Portnoy himself said, I messed up. This was not okay. My social team put this out. I freaked out when I saw it. He threw his social person under the bus. Doesn't everyone always throw their social person under the bus whenever they get caught in any sort of like precarious situation? It's so annoying. Anyway, Bobbi is so upset. Clearly, she's like, I didn't even want to do the podcast at all. I finally did. And this is just like so uncool. But what Dumois believes is the reason why she unfollowed Drake and the reason why Drake unfollowed her is because she went to his show and she filmed this video of her looking like she wasn't having any fun. I'm confused by it because he knows her humor. And I think anyone and everyone that watches that video thinks it's just funny. But apparently it's real. The beef is real. Okay. Just keep an eye out for that Bobbi Althoff because she's going to start popping up everywhere you look. Just wait. Just you wait. Just you wait. Okay. Let's keep going. Britney Spears. I am not going deep into Britney Spears. I don't like talking about Britney Spears. It feels like way too much, too heavy, too dark, if I can be 100% honest, but it's all over the news. Like yesterday was like news galore, right? We got hit with another thing, by the way. Yes. Thank you so much. Drake got the podcast. The podcast is no longer on YouTube. And this podcast was multi millions of views. So now it's off. The podcast is gone from YouTube, and you know that means she's no longer making money. That is a big, big deal. Oh, Sandy says, I think it was insulting to say these aren't my people. Majority of them are people of color. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can look at it that way. I didn't see it that way just because of her personality and who she is. Let me pull up exactly what because she left that reel up. Let me pull up exactly what that said, what her comment about the reel was. And if you watch it, you'll see it's her standing there. She's in between two women. There's 8 million views on this reel. And oh no, she doesn't say these aren't my people. She didn't say that. She said, really in my element here at this guy's concert. That's all she said, really in my element here at this guy's concert. And meanwhile, I'm kind of scrolling down and I'm not seeing any videos of her and Drake on her Instagram. So it looks like she removed everything on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube, which is a killer for views and numbers, which we'll see what happens. Okay, let's keep going. You guys don't buy it. Some of you think it's a shtick. Let's watch what happens, as Bethenny likes to say. How many times can I talk about Bethenny in one freaking episode before I talk about Bethenny? Okay. So Britney announces her divorce yesterday, or TMZ picks up on it. Sam Asghari, her husband / caretaker, who knows, apparently filed for divorce yesterday and moved out. Okay. Look, I didn't do my deep, dark research. I'm like Bethenny on this one. Drink. Freaking saying Bethenny like my show is called literally every other word is Bethenny. I didn't do my research on this because I'm not personally super invested in the story, but I know a lot of you guys are. A lot of people are worried about Britney. What's going to happen now that everyone drink? Aunt Shashi says, so you're telling me this isn't Candace Cameron Bure? I wish I was drinking alcohol because then I'd actually be like buzzed with all the people saying it. So Britney, everyone's worried. Now Britney doesn't have this caretaker around her. She doesn't have this person that's going to take care of her, and she doesn't have a relationship with her family. What is going to happen? But the truth is, you guys, and maybe I'm crazy here, I personally can't imagine that Britney Spears is in like a good situation with him. I mean, we're all watching what's happening, right? We've all watched her Instagram account over the last year. I had to unfollow because one time I opened up her Instagram account and my son was right next to me, my 8-year-old, and I was like, holy shit, it looks like I'm watching porn. I mean, seriously, like spread eagle, like just like finger over the nipple. I'm like, this is OnlyFans and I'm just on Instagram. Like it feels a little too much. So I think that where she's been going in this whole Free Britney moment with Sam as her husband is not a good path. So I think whatever happens here, hopefully can only mean that things are going to improve for her. I don't understand. What the hell is going on there, you guys. I don't know if it's a mixture of drugs, mental issues, PTSD, like There's something going on, you guys. It's bad, but I hope it only gets better. I mean, what am I going to say? But I had to unfollow. So you guys aren't going to, I'm not a Britney Stan account in any way. That's just the truth. Another thing, the Big Brother guy, this stupid Luke Valentine, I hardly want to give him a conversation, but we all know that he got kicked out of the show week 1, 5 days into the show for saying the N-word casually, like no big deal. And he gets kicked out of the show, and they've kind of swept it under the rug on Big Brother and CBS. They haven't talked about him at all, minus like 1 minute when they said they kicked him out. But he did say he went live on his Instagram or something. I saw it on TMZ, and he was like not really apologizing for saying it. He was like, it's lack of sleep, it's lack of nutrition, it's being under studio lights. So the comments were so funny. They were like, yeah, I'm really hungry. I think I'm really hungry. I think I'm a Holocaust denier now. I'm so thirsty. I think I'm a racist. Like, people were killing me in the comments. He's an idiot. Can we all just all agree on the fact that if you say the N-word, you're an idiot? Like, if you say the N-word as a white person, I should say, I don't really, I can only speak for white people in that one. That is bad. I had to sleep on a cheese board, he said. Well, let me tell you guys, I was up last night at 1 a.m. Remember, Lance isn't here. And I woke up at 1 a.m. just to go to the bathroom, as a 42-year-old woman has to do. And I get up, I walk, I'm like half sleeping, walk through my bathroom. There's a river under my feet. Okay. When I tell you, I thought my dog peed at first. And then I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I turn on the light. My entire bathroom is flooded. Flooded. Okay. Thank God it's tile, obviously, but it's flooded. The carpet, the rug on the floor is sopping, heavy sopping. I'm like, what is happening? None of the water things were on. Shower wasn't on. Sinks weren't on. I was like, what? I open the light. I start looking. Water is pouring from under my sink. Just shh, like that. Freak out. I call Lance, who is in Tulum right now. He's shooting Perfect Match. I call him. It's almost 3 a.m, his time, and he's awake, which is amazing because he just wrapped at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. So I'm like, Lance, and it's his birthday by the way, you guys. Shout out Lance Bowling. Happy birthday, my love. So I wake up. I call him. I'm like, wake up. I don't know. He's like, what's going on? We FaceTime. He's telling me to go in the front yard. I have to turn. So I'm like, this is a little TMI, but I don't sleep in clothes. Okay. So I had to throw on a rope, go outside. I'm concerned there's coyotes, robbers, scary people, 1 a.m. I go out there. I'm turning off the water. This morning, we have no water. The towels are sopping. My entire bathroom is still wet. Thank God the plumber was able to come over and fix it. But I still didn't call someone an N-word. No sleep. I still kept it together, you guys, for this. So really. So many people saying happy birthday. Okay, you guys, let's talk a little bit about Bethenny before I get into my later part of the conversation with Dana. I want to cover what was said, the facts, and then I'm going to give you my opinions later about Bethenny's part 2. Part 2 of Bethenny's reality reckoning with Rachel Leviss comes out. Now, today's episode did 2 things. Number 1, it solidified the fact that Bethenny is building a massive case against Bravo and NBC Universal and reality TV in general, right? We can all agree. Oh my God, this is so funny. I just have to say, Lisa says, why does this happen when hubby is away? I had a dead rat in my pool last weekend and pipes burst. What else, guys? What else? Okay. Yeah, Bethenny is clearly creating a story, like a huge story here against Andy Cohen. I mean, her vitriol towards Andy Cohen is so obvious in these podcasts. Like the way she's like, and especially Andy. Andy is definitely, fuck, so upsetting to watch. Really makes me upset. At first she was saying Andy and her were not even really friends. She said that in their episode before, the Rachel episode. She's like, Andy and I were friends with benefits, essentially. Not that they would sleep together, but friends with the ability to, help each other out for business. Sure, that felt good for Andy. Yes, of course. But like, who is Bethenny friends with in life that isn't helping her in any capacity? Bethenny is the queen of the person that only is friends with people that serve her. I am convinced about this. Okay. No, Donna's asking, has she even filed a lawsuit? I don't believe she has. I believe that right now there's just like a strongly worded letter. Um, but yeah, I think she's building a case. Although she told me today in her comments, she responded to a comment of mine that said I was invalid for my opinion, and she is not building a case. She doesn't have a case. Okay, so she doesn't have a lawsuit, I guess, but she's building a case. Like, what is she doing here? What is she doing here? Um, that is an unpopular opinion by Cats Coffee and Cocktails. Unpopular opinion: Andy is shady, and Bethenny has the tea. Yeah. Rosa, you said, I don't think Andy was lose sleep over Bethenny. I'm going to disagree here. I don't know if he's going to lose sleep, but Bethenny is nonstop and she's loud as F. She's loud. And this really could screw Bravo and Andy and a lot of people in the foot. But anyway, let me stick with the facts, you guys. In today's episode, we see two things. One, that Bethenny is really feeding Rachel the questions and the words to really try to get it out that this was a awful working environment, dangerous, negative working environment, volatile, all the things. But then Rachel says a few things that are interesting. Rachel doubles down on her assault with Sheena. Remember, she filed a restraining order against Sheena and then she pulled it. Well, she doubled down on this one. She said, I got hit. I got pushed against a brick wall. I took notes. Hold on, where are my notes? That would be smart if I actually had notes in front of my life. Yeah, see, you guys do. I actually do. I actually do. Research. Okay. She said she pushed me. The back of my head hit a brick wall. She socked me in the face. Remember, it used to be a punch, but now it's a sock. What's the difference? And she assaulted me. And so she's doubling down on why she did decide to do a restraining order. Okay. She said, I thought reality TV was supposed to be fun. Listen, I'm not an idiot here, okay? Rachel may be, or maybe was, when she thought reality TV was fun, but she was an absolute um fan of Vanderpump Rules. She was an adult. She was watching the season. She entered the show for season 5 or season 6, I believe, and she was very much aware of what the show was. So I think you did think it was fun until it backfired. Or maybe you didn't think it was fun, but don't now say, I thought reality TV was supposed to be fun, and then realize that you're like getting yourself involved with these crazy situations. Okay. Oh, she mentioned something. Now, this is the part that I can't in any way be angry or shocked that Rachel got hurt here. This is horrible, you guys. Two things happened. The video that was screen recorded. So basically, she had a sort of, sexual encounter on a phone call, on a FaceTime with Tom. We know this. He screen recorded it. Never told her. Awful, awful, scary, scary, scary behavior. Okay. Because at this point, remember, 7 months they were together, in love with each other, quote unquote. And at this point, they had slept in, no, they'd been together and they've known each other for years and years and years. Okay. So for Tom to do that is the most biggest betrayal. That's like your husband recording you without you knowing, or like someone that you really trust. Really, really scary and bad. When they were filming this scene where he comes over to her apartment, and we see that scene where, remember the scene where they were drinking and just like talking about it, and it was so awkward, and he was upset that Ariana was having a party at the house. Rachel doubles down. Oh no, Rachel at this point says on the podcast that during that conversation, one thing that she did say to Tom was, why did you record me without my consent? And he said he wanted to see her. He wanted her to see how beautiful she looked, which is just disgusting and obviously not the truth. Obviously not the truth. Really effed up. So I am not in any way taking anything away from Tom Sandoval here at all. He's a disgusting human being for the way he acted in multiple ways, and Raquel did not deserve that part at all. But then she said that part of the scene, after they stopped shooting, Tom said, "Why did you do that on camera?" He said this to Raquel, and Raquel said, "What do you mean? Like, we were just having a normal conversation." And he lost his shit. Apparently, he got so mad, so concerned with Vanderpump Rules, and basically did a standoff saying, "I will not be shooting any more scenes until that part is cut out. If that part is not cut out, I will not be shooting anymore." And obviously they needed him to shoot more, so they cut that part out. Okay. Also horrible. Now, apparently Sandoval, and I have a couple more minutes before I bring on Dana, but apparently Sandoval told Rachel that they offered him producer credit for season 11. We need Alex Baskin on the phone immediately. He's the executive producer of Vanderpump Rules, because I have not seen a Tom Sandoval producer credit. And so if it's an uncredited producer credit, then what's the point of getting the producer credit? I don't believe he was offered this, because why doesn't he have it? He would have taken it. What he turned it down? If he was offered a producer credit, he would be a producer. So I think this was either something Rachel thought he said, or maybe he did say to try to look better to her. Maybe he was still trying to show off. Who knows? They also bring up Kristen Doute a lot and talk about the fact that Kristen got a spinoff exactly when she started talking about the fact that possibly James was physical with her when they were together. Now, James and her had a very tumultuous relationship, Kristen Doute. I wouldn't put it past either of them, to be honest, because there's a lot of alcohol and a lot of like wild behavior at that point. But I don't know if that exactly is true. And I also feel like they're speculating about other people's stories without knowing the details. And the final thing I'm going to say is that Bethenny did, and not the final thing, because we have a whole other part of this episode on this same episode, because I don't do part twos. But the last thing I'm going to say really fast is that Bethenny had some big dramatic reading where she read every single bad word that was said towards Rachel in the 3-part reunion. Okay. And read it in order without any context, without any back and forth dialogue of what really was said. And she started to cry. And then she said, "If I was your mother, I would have killed someone." Bethenny has said some awful things on years and years of this show. I have a hard time believing it. I have a hard time believing the truth. And so much more is coming out right now, you guys. So stick around. Here is Dana. We're going to get into the conversation, and we're going to get into really why we believe this is not Rachel's voice. This is not the moment for Rachel to be sharing her voice like some sort of Mother Teresa shit. This is Bethenny's story, and Rachel is being used as a pawn in Bethenny's story. Stay tuned. Oh my gosh, you guys. We have Dana Omari-Harrell from IG Famous by Dana, and we've got a Dana and a Donna, but both are spelled Dana on the same podcast.
Right. It would confuse everyone if it was a Dana and Donna show. It'd be which one is Dana, which one's Donna, just by the script.
Totally. We should be Double D. We'll be the Double D podcast. I am definitely not a Double D.
I'm in D.
Okay. All right. We'll take it. And I was joking already that, I'm Israeli, you're Palestinian. And so we are making peace in the Middle East, and Bethenny is the reason. So Bethenny is the reason for peace in the Middle East today.
Don't tell her that though. Like, her head is just going to be huge.
Well, she was the first person that was ever the person that did it. Oh my gosh, I had to reach out to you today. We've been messaging and following each other for a while online, but I woke up this morning and immediately saw the video you posted last night, or yesterday, which was focused on part 1, because that's all we had heard of this Rachel and Bethenny interview. And you said something that I think a lot of us kind of are feeling, but you clarified it or vocalized it so well. So after listening to part one, why don't you kind of tell everyone what your takeaway was that you talked about in that video?
So my takeaway was, especially reading her caption, reading Bethenny's caption, was, putting or letting Raquel or Rachel like have her story, like tell her story, something along those lines. I don't remember
A
exactly now.
woman's words are important, something along that.
Oh, yeah, something like that. She's like letting Rachel tell her story. And I was like, this isn't Rachel's story. This is Bethenny's story. Like at every moment, she is feeding Rachel lines and words and excuses. And then the leading questions, she wasn't asking, like, how are you feeling about this? Or what was going on with this? It was like, so tell us what their relationship was really like.
Mhm.
So, how culpable was NBC in this? Like she was asking questions where the only answer is in the affirmative of the frame of the question. Like, yes, their relationship wasn't real because leading questions.
Absolutely. And what I think is really interesting is a good journalist, a good podcast interviewer doesn't have a motive with the interview. Obviously, you and I have a little bit of a motive, but this is not an interview. I'm not interviewing you to tell your story. We're having a conversation about it. But this was, I mean, by far the biggest interview of the year in the pop culture
Right.
space. And people have been dying to hear her side of the story. And you're right, when you go into it with these intentions and the motivation, which we all know Bethenny did have here. Bethenny, it's not like Bethenny was a huge fan and like was dying to talk to her.
She told us a million times that she wasn't a fan. I mean, she was like, I've never watched the show. Never. It
Mhm.
just didn't me. How many times did she say that? Like at least four. And just
Well,
part one.
yeah, and then she did say that multiple times. She said she saw parts of the reunion only. But then in her comments today, which is one thing we all know about Bethenny, and I think most people are starting to figure it out, thank God, is that there's a lot of lies, a lot of white lies, little words that she's saying, little comments that she's saying, and she backtracks constantly. Or maybe she's just really smart about the words that she's saying, so it's not a lie, but it is kind of conversation. I can come up with 30 examples on my own, but just yesterday I saw in her comments, after she had admitted on the podcast, I never watched the show. I don't really know who you are. I don't really know what's going on. Someone called her out in her comments and she said, I did watch season 10. I just didn't watch all 10 seasons. Well, if you did watch season 10, I feel like you would know that they've been in a 7-month relationship affair. There was a
Right.
lot yeah, it doesn't track, right?
Right. Well, the first part, part one, she said that she watched the last season. So she made it seem like she watched the whole season and the reunion. That's what she said. Then, I mean, and this is fresh on my mind. She said in part two, I watched the reunion and a couple episodes of season 10. So, which is it? Did you watch the whole season or a couple of episodes? Because it sounds like you just started, like probably way past Mexico, right? The 2 or 3 episodes leading up to, or possibly even the one episode before and after everyone found out, right? Like the finale or the original finale, then the added on episode, and then the reunion. And if that is all that you know, which first of all, she still takes everything out of context. Like even if you watched only those four, and we'll get into this, I'm like, girl, then you don't know what's going on. Why are you even talking? Why are you talking?
It's impossible to know the story and to truly know the story unless you really watch all of the episodes Rachel, and I'm not saying the story of Vanderpump, I'm saying the story of Rachel. You
Right.
need to have watched all of the episodes Rachel has been in, starting with season 5 or whenever she showed up and started dating James, seeing through the engagement, seeing through the ups and downs with Lala. You have to see it all to know
Right.
really what, like, and then not only that, the dynamic of Tom and Ariana. You have to know these things. So,
Right.
so that being said, obviously we can tell she wasn't prepared. She didn't do her research. And we saw that in part 2 when during the episode, she starts discovering ratings numbers.
Right.
Wow, 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 wow.
She,
That's all I
she
heard
kept
for like 5
out
minutes.
that wow. And I was like, don't wow yourself. Do not wow
Wow,
yourself.
Bethany. Wow. So let's talk about, why do you believe? Now, a lot of people that are listening to this I don't know if they're the people. I feel like the people that are listening to this have heard my story already, but like when I go on TikTok and I say things like this and it goes out to people that aren't following me and they don't really know the story, but maybe they're obsessed with Bethenny of the latter, like of the former years, or
Right.
like Bethenny of the 99-cent store. Like maybe that's the Bethenny that they love. They think immediately that, this was Bethenny's doing like an amazing service by
Right.
putting Rachel in front of cameras and being able to kind of share her story. Why is
Right.
this benefiting Bethenny? You tell us. I have a feeling, but what do you think?
Okay, so I want to say that I support all the people of Bravo, NBC, like all of the employees, especially the people who we aren't seeing on camera, like, the cameramen or women, camera people, lighting,
Mhm.
whatever, producers, getting protections and better pay and better work situations. I hate that Bethenny is the one in front of it because she could have done that at the height of her power. She didn't. She has been angling to get back on Bravo, maybe not as a Roni housewife, but she's pitched show after show and she's had more opportunities for shows than anyone else that I can think of on
Mhm.
Bravo. And so I just feel like it's opportunistic. Like she's seeing the writer strikes and she's like, hey, I can, be out here, maybe look like a hero, even though at the end of the day, it doesn't even affect her because she's not even a part of this universe anymore, honestly. Like she is retired and she should stay retired somewhere. Anyway, the way that this helps her is that she is, trying to collect all these people, reality TV stars, for what she calls the hashtag reality reckoning. She is saying that Bravo and NBC put people maybe sometimes in unsafe or at least hostile situations that can be detrimental to their mental health, to their, even just their prospects in the future. And then they are not paying people. And also, let me be clear, I 100% believe that NBC and Bravo probably don't pay people as well as they should. And they probably do stir up drama and they probably do ply people with alcohol and things like that. I believe that. But I don't know why this is Bethenny's problem. You're not even on this anymore. You actually shut people down when they try to bring this up. Like I think of Aviva and she was like, shut up. Like you don't get to talk about this. So
Mhm.
I don't Bethenny.
Mhm.
Anyway, so she is saying these things. So the framework of now both episodes or both parts is every time Rachel is saying something, she brings it back to look at the negligence of Bravo. Look at the negligence of Andy. Looks like they made this up. They manufactured this so that there could be drama, which has destroyed your life, destroyed your mental health. And then you did not even make one penny off of it. They are making millions of dollars and you're making nothing. And so she's putting in the framework of Bethenny's story that NBC, Bravo, whatever, they're just out here exploiting people and they're not paying people. And that's why they need to be taken down for this reckoning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is so important. Like both things can be true. Both things can be true that we support. My husband, Lance, is a camera operator. He's a union camera operator, but he's able to work on many non-union shows. That's how it works in that industry. So he works on shows like Dancing with the Stars, which are union, health benefits, great hours, great, always food, always great taken care of. And then he works sometimes on shows that are non-union and they take, thank God, most of them that he's been on have been okay, but he has had a variety of shows where like horrible working conditions, you guys, horrible. So these are the people that are really, and I'm going out tonight actually for drinks with a producer, a former producer of a lot of these Bravo shows. And I can't wait to like find out more really, because that's really the story here. The real story are the people that are really taken advantage of by these studios and networks directly. Now, the Rachel part of it is important. And the things that she's talking about, especially in today's episode, where she talks about the fact of being recorded without her consent and that video apparently being sent around. And, the conversation that she had with Tom Sandoval, where she said on camera, why did you film me? And then he forced that to be removed. Things like that. All of that is fucked up. It's wrong and it's fucked up. But it's not against Bravo. That, to me, is not a Bravo problem. That's a Rachel and Tom problem. That's an isolated incident. Am I
Right.
off there?
I don't know. I just feel like we know that Tom is a piece of shit. I mean, we know that. I because I don't know, and okay, I don't know how to like word this, because I believe that she didn't know she was being recorded. I truly believe that like Tom is just as disgusting as she's saying that he is.
100.
When we go like in other parts of this part two, they, and when I say they, I mean Bethenny is twisting a lot of information and facts that suit her narrative. And so I just don't know how much of this is on Bravo because Bethenny wants it to be on Bravo, and how much of it is on just Tom and
Hmm.
Rachel. Does that make sense? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, he told them to put the cameras down so they could have a conversation. I don't know. Like, I wasn't there for that. I do believe that he told her, like, that they're not going to film that. I believe that.
I mean, apparently they filmed it and then he did some sort of standoff with Bravo, which he was
Right.
like, I will not do the show anymore if you continue that part of the or if you allow that part of the conversation. Is that a Bravo issue? Yes and no. At the same time, they do have a show to make. And like we have all
True.
seen with,
But Rachel she could have pressed charges. Like, if she felt like, I mean, because it's illegal. She could have
yeah,
pressed charges. She didn't. She gave him the
a
key to her
key.
apartment. And I know that like abused women, like it's more difficult. I get that. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that if he didn't get any repercussions because of it, it's also because you didn't try.
And she, by the way, like, why hadn't she like now it's months later. She obviously is not communicating with him. They're definitely not in a relationship anymore from what I'm hearing. I could be
Right.
wrong, but I mean that would be really psychotic if like they still were. Wouldn't put it past anyone. But at the same time, I feel like there's still time right now that she could be going after him and she's blowing
100%.
it. She's blowing it at every turn because now she's sharing this story. So here's the thing about why this is so frustrating. And let's get into this idea because as of yesterday's recording, we didn't know whether or not she was paid for the interview.
Right.
And I picked up on that early in the morning thinking she better be paid, which is going to make Bethenny look a little more desperate, but it's going to make Bethenny look fair. You know,
Right.
If Bethenny did pay her, it's going to look like I'm dying to get this interview. I really want it, which Bethenny would hate because she wants to feel like everyone's coming to her.
Right. Well, if you remember in part one, she's just like, "So why did you pick me?" Like, that
Why me?
so much trust, but like we don't even know each other. Thank you.
And when Rachel was like, "You're a force to be reckoned with," she was like, "I know." It's
Thank you.
like, thanks.
You
She's like,
gotta
yeah.
do it in 20 minutes.
So there was that, and then when it like the idea of not paying her, people are very confused about this on my TikTok account. And I keep saying TikTok is like I said, I don't think these are people that fully understand the situation, the scenario. I don't believe it's standard practice to pay your guests. I do believe people like Call Her Daddy do pay their guests. Like I don't believe Ariana sat down with Call Her Daddy for free. Maybe
Yeah.
Alexandra Cooper or Call Her Daddy didn't pay Ariana, but Ariana got paid somehow by
Right.
someone.
Right.
And
Especially for a first time exclusive interview. If you're just like on a book tour, press release, like your PR people are out here trying to book you things. But if people are coming to you, they're like, we really, really, really want to sit down with you, they're at that level, they're gonna pay you.
hell yes, because think about the numbers for Call Her Daddy. Like they knew they needed her. And if they didn't get her, she would have sat down with someone else and got paid. So people
Right.
are very confused by this. It's not a normal practice to pay. However, when you do have an exclusive like this from a huge scandal, you should be asking to get paid for those first interviews. And Bethenny now, we find out, did not pay Raquel, apparently, according to Entertainment Tonight, which I think is always on it with Raquel. They have an in. Like, do you notice that Raquel Rachel, she always releases things through ET.
Well, she called them to do that like weird interview outside the nail salon.
Yes.
So obviously there is like some sort of relationship there.
There is definitely some sort of, and when she released her first apology, it was through Entertainment Tonight. Like, there's
Mhm.
definitely a relationship with her PR people and them or whatnot. I don't know.
Right.
So, if Bethenny did not pay Rachel, and in today's episode, I counted over 20 ads, which, by the way, a lot of people are curious about this. And And, I have a podcast. I'm going to do the numbers. I'm really curious because I have a podcast which gets money from ads, from like the auto ad system, basically,
Right.
which are the ones where we're not reading a sponsorship, but it's just like a pre-recorded ad from Toyota or whatever.
Right. Commercial on TV.
Exactly. So we get very little money per listen of those ads, but it adds up if you have a big podcast. And then YouTube views. Now, YouTube views are very, very lucrative. Like the amount of money, if you have a video that hits 1 million views on YouTube, you're making money, like money. And in perpetuity, because like it keeps going on. Like people are going to be clicking on this interview for however many months,
Right.
years maybe.
Right.
So Bethenny has been called out now multiple times in her comments, including by me, and lots of other people asking about this, and she's not responding. She's not talking about the fact about the payment. What do you think? Why sit in Rachel's team's head? Why is she doing this?
Does Rachel have a team right now? That would be my first question, honestly. I don't know that she does.
I don't either. I mean, it doesn't look like she does because if any, like at the end of the day, get your bag, right? At the end of the day, make money from this. That's your complaint. Everyone
Right.
made money and I didn't make money. Make fucking money.
Right. This is what Ariana capitalized on. This is what everyone else capitalized on. I mean, shit, even Lala had her merch. James Kennedy had his like worm with a mustache merch. Like they made money. So I don't know why you didn't. You didn't want to. That's fine. You didn't have a team to help you. Even if it's like, oh, they're not a very helpful team, they get paid a percentage off of what you make. So it sounds like she doesn't have a team because even
Yeah.
like the agent would be like, you need to get paid so I can get 20% of it.
Right. And it doesn't make any sense to me because she didn't say, she said well, who did Bethenny say that someone reached out to me? I forget if she said your team or your person or your rep.
She
I
said,
forget.
like, your people reached out to me.
Yeah, she
But
has to have someone on her end.
yeah, but that just seems so weird. And also, we do know that Bethenny isn't necessarily the most truthful person.
Oh yeah,
So
that's true.
she could have had a person reach out to her to reach back out to her, and she's like counting that second reach out, you know? I don't know.
All I keep thinking about is Nick Thompson from Love is Blind, who, from what I know, is going out there and really trying to do the real work of this, like, and he really was the first in the reality reckoning, or maybe Nene was the first. Like, there's a few people before Bethenny here,
He has
but
tried for 10 years, so give that money her props. Like, come on.
seriously. And so this Nick Thompson he's been on like articles and stuff recently in the last couple months talking about this. And from what I know and from what I've heard from a few different sources, Bethenny is not helping him in his case because it's not Bethenny's case, right?
Bethany's
Like, think about that.
story. It's
Yeah.
Bethany.
So, okay, let's talk about a couple other things that I thought were interesting. This episode, more so than any other episode, more so than the first episode, felt like Rachel was given an agenda to speak about certain things using the words like legalities, legal, illegal, restraining order. Like it feels very much that maybe Bethenny's saying, I'm not paying you, but we're going to make a lot of money from this upcoming lawsuit that we're going to get if you join me and do it this way or whatever.
Right. Right.
Do we think that they actually have a chance? Like, I'm not an attorney here, but like, is there actually a world where Rachel can sue Bravo in this like situation and make money?
I'm also not a lawyer. I honestly don't see her. Like, I've heard of like some of the other housewives stories where they were coaxed into drinking more alcohol. They were, put in situations that made them not feel safe. I know I already mentioned Aviva, but Aviva like spoke out. Like she said she did not, she did not want to drink. She just felt pressured and producers were like, you're boring. You need to go do something. Go do something crazy. Like I don't
Pull off
remember.
a leg. Pull off your leg.
Get drunk, fall down. It's okay. And so she was doing it. She was like, and like it was embarrassing. I ruined my reputation. She said all that. And that's when Bethenny was like, shut up. No one made you drink, like whatever. Anyway,
Oh yeah, Bethenny, you guys, for anyone that doesn't know this, this was like a tweet that resurfaced in 2018 where Aviva finally opened up and said this, exactly what
and
Dana just said.
people asked her, like, she didn't just go out like bashing Bravo the way Bethenny does. She was asked about her time, and she was just like, it wasn't great for my mental health, and these are the things that happened, right? And then Bethenny responded to an article, like the article that printed it, or maybe it was one that reprinted. And she was just like, no, like, be accountable for your own actions. That's what
She said
Bethenny
something
said.
along the lines of, as someone who is the first on real, no, she said something along the lines of like, I have worked in this business for years, like 12 years or whatever, and I am offended that you would consider that this, like, she really stood up. Funny how things change.
She was still pitching to Bravo like 3 or 4 months ago. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
bullshit. Um,
so going back to Rachel, in the first part, they kept saying things like, this is being manufactured, like you don't even know what they're going to use, what they're going to put on camera, and then you're like blindsided by it. They're like creating these situations, and I'm like, sure, but they did not create the situation in which Rachel slept with Tom
mm-mm.
many times. They did not create that. In fact, I'm actually more concerned with the fact that the producers didn't know. I was like, how good of a liar is Tom that even the producers didn't know something was going on? And then, the whole like, oh, the phone fell out of his pocket, and that's how Ariana found out. Bethenny was like, really? Is that really how it happened? That sounds fake, like paraphrasing.
Yeah,
It's like the cameras weren't rolling if this was so manufactured.
a
Why
camera would be there.
yeah, first of all, why didn't we see them like sneak in or out of a room? I mean, if you remember like Real Housewives of Atlanta, like what was the guy's name, the stripper, and there was like the cameras were still rolling in the middle of the night, and it's seeing them like giggle, and you can't really see anything, it's just shadows and giggling, and it's like, so who slept with the stripper? Cameras were,
Totally.
maybe that was manufactured. I don't know. I don't
No,
really
but also on Miami when Lenny and Lisa, when Lenny was on camera, like not on camera, but still mic'd and was
yeah,
talking about it. Like that, at least we see it. We can, no one has ever said that felt manufactured, by the way. Think about it.
right.
It's only manufactured if it's like working against Beth or for Bethany's case.
Right. And that could be manufactured. I don't know. Don't really care. But obviously, they didn't make Lenny cheat on Lisa. Like that, all of that is not made up. Maybe if they knew about it and they made sure his mic was still on and they tricked him, I don't know. Don't really care. But how is it manufactured if we never saw it on camera? They weren't even filming. They had wrapped filming when everyone found out. That doesn't make any sense. And so now I've like lost my point. But my point is that
No, I
she
get it.
was like being made up, and this is all Bravo's fault. They're destroying her mental health. And Rachel was like, yeah, that's what happened. And I'm like, girl.
No, it's bad. And then also really fast, the alcohol situation is real. It's a real thing, obviously. But we have a cast member on the show who is very openly sober, Lala. And she
Right,
is in every single episode, and she is in multiple scenes where high dramas, and never once is she forced an alcoholic drink. You are
mhm,
who you are, who you are. And
right,
Rachel would probably be out drinking if she wasn't on camera, no matter what, because she was going through a period in her life where she was newly single, figuring her shit out. Remember how many times she was like falling apart, right? So
right,
she was falling apart to Peter, falling apart in that car. A lot of people in those kind of mental, situations, they rely on substances. That's
right,
really, maybe she was drinking a lot because she was fucking her friend's boyfriend and like
right.
wanted to pretend that everything was okay, or maybe she needed to drink to kind of get through those experiences. Who knows? But that's not Bravo.
But I would say that the drinking is not why she slept with Tom. Like, it's
No.
not like it was a drunken, she got blacked out and something happened. This was an ongoing relationship that started many months before it actually became physical, per what they say. And they've been known to even lie. Like, I just rewatched the reunion part 3, and they're like, it
Oh yeah,
only
so say that, tell us about that, because I saw that you just wanted to rewatch for whatever reason.
gosh. Okay, so part 2, Bethenny is saying, okay, she reads out the transcript of the reunion, and all she's saying, she doesn't read out the transcript actually, which is what was making me feel crazy. She was just reading out all the things that Ariana and maybe some other cast members that basically Ariana said to Rachel. She does not even bring up what Rachel said or what caused Ariana to say these things. It's just, she just went into the demented, disgusting, subhuman, worst person, see you next Tuesday. Like she's just reading off all the names that she's been called, that they've said to her. And and one other thing, before that happened, Rachel had the nerve to look Ariana in the eye and be like, I just wanted you to know I'm just selfish. I was very selfish. And Ariana was like, selfish. It's not even the right word. Demented, disgusting. That's when she goes into this list, right?
Yeah, it didn't come
Anyway,
out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. So then Bethenny goes, you know, that's abuse. That is emotional abuse. Let me read you the definition of emotional abuse. And she goes into this long definition, which, to paraphrase what emotional abuse is, emotional abuse is when someone uses their words or, you know, not physically putting you down, usually repetitively, so it can diminish your self-worth and for them to have power over you. So truly, she even says like it's a pattern, it's, you know, whatever. I'm over here thinking, what was this film like 2 or 3 weeks after? That was the first time they've come together. That is a fight using ugly words, not abuse. Abuse would be if she was repeatedly over a span of time deteriorating Rachel's self-worth or holding power over her. But to look her in the face and call her any word she wants to call her is not the definition of abuse. Is she using ugly words? Yeah. Is she, you know, maybe went a little too far with her words? I don't know. I feel like I would have said the same things, but it's not like she's spending all these months calling Rachel all these words consistently and, you know, deteriorating her self-worth. So I was feeling crazy though, because Bethenny was saying, they're watching you be abused. You're just being abused left and right, and no one is standing up for you. Andy, nothing. Lisa Vanderpump, nothing. Production, no one is helping you as you're just being abused and beaten down and down and down. And I was like, I don't remember it being this way. I remember Rachel actually like having some like, you know, retorts that I was like, bitch, why are you
Yeah, it
talking?
was kind of surprising.
Quiet. Like, you stop. Just stop. And she was like, and then they gave Ariana a tissue. Did they offer you a tissue? No,
No
they didn't.
tissue.
And so I rewatched it. Tell me why Rachel didn't cry one fucking tear.
Mhm.
Why would they hand her a tissue? She didn't cry at all,
She didn't
which
show any emotion,
none
nothing.
at all. Like the closest emotion was her voice got shakier and she was like, I was selfish. Okay. And I don't know how she felt. I don't know if she has things going on where she can't show emotion, whatever. But just to say, like, they offered Ariana a tissue, but no one offered you a tissue, I think is so manipulative because, yeah, why would they offer someone who didn't shed a tear a tissue?
You're so fucking right, Dana. I didn't even think about that because we remember her crying, but she didn't cry in the reunion. She cried in the post interview when she was finally telling on Tom.
Right. And the time before that, she cried because she couldn't be or she couldn't be a role model anymore because she couldn't win Miss
Yes.
California. Those
Yes.
are the
Those are the two
times
cries.
crying. This
She wasn't
whole
even crying in this interview, and Bethenny was crying.
right. And
Bethenny's like, oh, I would kill you if I was someone's mother.
right, exactly. And I was over here like, why? That is so manipulative. And that's when I was like, hold on, let me, I'm rewatching this. And no, she's retorting back. She's calling Lala a mistress. She's like, you were a mistress. You fucked James Kennedy. Like she's holding her own. And so if I hadn't went back, I honestly was being gaslit into thinking, oh my God, were we all just so hyped up like Team Ariana, fuck Tom, Rachel's gross, that we didn't see this poor girl get like, thrown to the wolves. And I was like, no, while I'm watching, it seems like it because you got Lala, you got Katie, you got Ariana, you got James Kennedy, who are like, they're quick with it. They're good with their words. And then on the other side, you have Schwartz being goofy and funny and being comedic relief. You have Tom, who's mainly going after Lala for some reason. And then you have Rachel, who I don't really want to disparage anymore because I actually enjoyed disparaging her more before Scandival. Like, I just thought she was the most boring person. I was like, I can't believe.
You should
I,
listen to some of my episodes before Scandival. It was like, I was like, you can't talk to her. Like, she's like a tree.
right, right. All the way back, like, the Bambi die bitch comment, like, I don't know how many seasons ago. Like, I was dying at Lala. I was like, yeah, this poor girl can't even read. And then leading up to before we knew about Scandival, she's like, you're a mistress to Lala. And Lala was like, okay, that was your best shot. You did so good, honey. Like, good for you. And she went outside and she was like, I told Lala off. And I was like, girl, we didn't watch the same scene. Like,
No.
you didn't do anything. So basically, all that to say is that that's who was on the other side of the couch. Of course it looks like a beatdown. Just Lala and James Kennedy alone can run circles around them. Throw Katie in there, they're demolished. Ariana.
But I want to just like put it out there for anyone that's listening and is thinking like, yeah, it really was tough to see. And it really actually, I do think it is tough to see a lot of people yelling at one person. But remember, we are talking about a show, a reunion of a show that we've seen this so many times play out over the course of 10, 15 years of reality TV on Real Housewives. All the Real Housewives, those reunions go deep, and Bethenny is usually in the on the couch doing the talking.
The
Like
aggressor,
that's
right? She's often the aggressor.
if you go back and like shout out to Glorified Gossip Girl on Instagram because she posted an incredible like clip and montage, and I want someone to really go through every single season to find every clip. Bethenny is exactly as bad and would do 10 times worse if she was in the height of her Real Housewives and someone slept with her husband or her boyfriend. Like this is like if Ramona Singer slept with her boyfriend. This is
Lose it. She
it's
would.
not that's what makes me think. I always want to say consider the source. I feel for Rachel. I do. I also think that she just got taken advantage of one more time. And
Yeah, that's what I think so too. So the video that I posted yesterday, I did like two iterations of it. And then in the first one that I didn't end up posting because it was just a lot longer, I was like, Rachel at this point, like she made her mistake. I honestly don't care. In fact, all the people who were so upset that the cast, they're filming together, I'm like, how long do you expect people to like hold a grudge? If it wasn't my personal boyfriend, husband, whatever, like I'm gonna move on from someone, doing that. They didn't do that to me, whatever. I'm not gonna trust them, but whatever. Ariana, I think, is the only one who has like any claim to just completely continue to shut him out if she wants. But Rachel, I don't think badly of her as a person. Like, I think she just there's a lot of work she needs to do on herself. I think that she clearly has a pattern of falling into these relationships where people take advantage of her, starting
yeah,
with James Kennedy. I mean, I know James Kennedy became, maybe before James Kennedy, but I know James Kennedy like has become like a more of a America's sweetheart ish for this season because he
yeah,
made her laugh and whatever. But he was a shit boyfriend. He treated her really horribly. And
for sure.
so in that like video, I was like, honestly, Rachel, she's whatever. She made her mistake. She needs to be able to move on. It's fine. But Bethenny's fucking vile
Yeah.
because he took advantage of this Bambi died bitch and like put her like on this like pedestal to supposedly tell her story only to drop her down and be like, you'll do what I tell you to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if Bethenny really truly cared about her, Kyle Cook, who shout out to Kyle from Summer House, who commented on someone's Instagram, and I saw it kind of being passed around, said the exact same thing. If she really cared, this would be a PSA with zero ads. It would be a one episode, full episode, not three parts. You do three parts because you want to pull as many listeners and as many times people want to, think about that. You guys,
Right.
if you're listening to this and you're not in the podcast content creating space, it's all about the numbers. And Bethenny's podcast hit number one on the charts of every podcast in the world yesterday. Okay, so that's a big ass deal. And so I'm thinking, I don't know exactly, but I'm thinking millions and millions and millions of listens.
Right.
And that's for just one episode. Now the second episode is going to be podcast episode number 2 on the charts or whatever. And the third is going to be the same. She
Right.
is making a killing out of this. And one thing that she,
Or at least split the money with her. At least do 50-50.
something, we're not going to see it. We're not going to know if it's true or not. And Rachel for sure is not going to have the balls to ever go against Bethenny and be like, what the fuck did you do to me? You know, but I wonder, you know, Bethenny posting yesterday in her stories, in between the Maui relief Be Strong stories, she posts a screenshot, number 1 baby or whatever, of her podcast ahead of Smartless, ahead of all the top ones. This is this is not like, thank you guys so much for supporting Rachel. Look how many of you guys listen. This is like, I won. You're
Right.
listening.
Right.
Just listen.
Right. Because everything is her versus Bravo or her versus Andy. It is, see, I'm great without Bravo. And I'm like, but you're still technically in it. Like you're everything, everything you do is about Bravo or Housewives. And so like, I'm good without it. I did it without it. First of all, no, you didn't do it without it. And no, you can't do it without it because you don't have anything that we want to hear or listen to. Like there's just nothing that you have that we want anymore.
Everything else is failing. I mean, she gets some big views on her TikToks with the makeup and stuff, but that's not a business, right? Like that's not a viable business. She has this YouTube show, which I couldn't even believe it. Yesterday, in the midst of this crazy interview where she's talking about someone getting treated so badly, emotionally abused, Bravo taking advantage of her, she releases her new Wednesday's YouTube show about, like, I don't know, shopping at freaking Forever 21 or something. I'm like, what the fuck is happening over there? They're literally taking anything and throwing it. But you're right. The only things that people are really paying attention to are the Bravo. And you know what's the saddest thing? And I'll just say this and we can wrap up after this. But you and I were both real Bethenny fans.
Yes.
We're not coming from a place of hate before this.
She was my favorite. For the longest time. She was one of my favorite housewives, hands down.
Yeah, top tier housewife, best remarks, best quips. We fucking loved watching her. I used to, like, people would say sometimes, like, Donna, you have a Bethenny thing about you. And I was like, yes, like I did it. You know, I mean, she was such goals.
Right. She was.
We feel betrayed almost.
Right. I feel like she probably has always been like this, but we've only seen the better sides because things were going in her favor. Like she was Bravo's darling. She was Andy's darling. Like I said, she's been
favorite
opportunities for, you know, side situations, side projects than any other housewife I can think of.
Yeah. Lisa,
but also Lisa already had some of those before coming into Bravo. Right? Bethenny didn't have any of that coming into Bravo. She was like giving out samples with her terrible logo at grocery stores. Yeah. She didn't have any of these things before. And so, you know, people keep saying like Bethenny's biting the hand that feeds. She's like, they're not feeding me. I'm doing this on my own. I'm like, So it's just.
You can't say that because that would be like me saying, you know, reality TV hasn't helped me in any way in my business. Are you fucking, I talk about it all day. And that's what people like to say to people like us probably is like, but look at you're using her too. And you're like, thank God for her because but the difference is you and I are not on a mission right now to protect reality stars.
Right. And also I'm not using her. She's putting out content and I'm talking about it. I didn't go out of my way to like, you know, find Rachel and, you know, just obliterate her basically. I mean, in no way does she make Rachel look good or better. And I feel like what someone needed to do was to make Rachel look a little bit better or for us to be a little bit more endeared towards her. And we didn't get any of that because it just kept going. Bravo should have stopped it. Bravo did that. Bravo made this situation happen. Were you really like at fault because Bravo? You know, that's all. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, this is a really interesting conversation. Obviously, I think part 3 is tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I think she's going to be really.
I heard Saturday.
Saturday. Interesting. She's going to make us work on the goddamn weekend. Bethenny?
Coming out on Friday. I don't know. Is there a YouTube show or something?
Something else will come out.
Because this is the Bethenny podcast, like the Just Be.
And she has like 6 shows.
But she also has like the Housewives one, the one just about Housewives.
Just Be. She has Rewives. She has Just Be Rants. She has Bethenny Bakes. No, I'm just joking. She doesn't, but she should.
Sold that one. It's fine.
Yeah, right. She's the first to have 3 podcasts though. The first.
Oh, she's also, did you, wait, was it, oh yeah, when she talks about the Bethenny clause, she was like, oh, the Bethenny clause. Let me tell you about the Bethenny clause.
Wait, can we add, like, I want to do some research here. I have a few friends that know Alex Baskin, who's the executive producer. I want to know for real. She said that the Bethenny clause means that a portion of Tom Tom and Schwartz and Sandy's proceeds are going to Bravo. I have a
So,
hard time believing that.
well, I don't know, probably because, so it makes sense because a lot of these businesses are profitable in part of the like free marketing that they're getting on the show. Like, how many people would actually go to Tom Tom just because, like, they're just out and about in West Hollywood? Not to say it's not
No.
a popular restaurant, versus how many people, like me in Houston, if I'm in West Hollywood, I'm going to be like, I'm going to go to Tom Tom.
I
I'm going
just did. I just did because I was hoping to see someone.
to, or
It's
Sir,
normal.
like I might see someone, or I want to see the back alley of Sir, like this is where all the things happen. Like it becomes a touristy attraction, right? And so things like that helps your business. So it makes sense. Like I don't feel like that's predatory. I feel like it would be predatory if it was in perpetuity. If it's like, okay, you've been off the show for 10 years, but you're still paying out 20% of your profits 10 years later for TomTom, when at this point only crazy fans are still going, you know, that sort of, you've been off the show for 10 years. So the Bethenny clause is because Skinny Girl got so big and it was like valued at like $1 billion when she sold it, but they didn't have anything in the contracts because at that point it was so new and most of their little business endeavors were like, you know, like a sponsorship on Instagram type thing. Not exactly that, but like, you know, okay, what are we going to take 20% of their $5,000? Like,
Mm-hmm. I
dollars.
wonder how that works out. Like, I really wonder how Bravo's gets paid by Tom Tom and Sir. I'm curious.
I don't know how, but it makes sense.
It does make sense. It really does. But at the same time, I just wouldn't even know how to like, like what number you would even give. Because like what, based on like how many drinks they sold tonight, like it's so confusing to me. But maybe it's just like a standard amount.
I think it's probably a standard amount. I don't know a real number, but let's say that it was like 10% of net profits or something like that.
Yeah, I'm curious. We got to
But
get
that
into
was
it.
because if you were advertising as heavily as like as many times as you see Sir, they talk about the goat cheese balls. Like we all know the pumptinis. Like we even know the names of their drinks. That is some heavy, crazy marketing. That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of advertisement easily.
Yeah.
And then you have the fans that want to come. It to me it makes sense. Like if they're like, okay, we get 10% in net profits.
It's so interesting. I mean, listen, we're going to keep learning, I think, about a lot of the behind the scenes and the back end business side of all of this as these things go on. So, for that reason, I think it is really interesting. And ultimately, I think both you and I are on the same team, which is we want people to be paid fairly. We want people to be paid residuals and to get, to get their bag. And like, we want the crew members to not be put in horrible, scary situations,
Right.
etc.
Right. I
So,
agree.
so it's just, this is just a crazy way to go about it. I don't think Bethenny is, in my opinion, who I'd want to lead me in this charge. I'm curious. Like I said, I'm going out tonight with a producer. I'm curious because he's like, he would be the first person that would be affected by this in a positive way. So I can't wait to hear his thoughts. But thank you so much for sharing with us. And obviously, let's keep chatting about part 3, which is going to come out. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, contact you, follow you, you guys have to follow her on Instagram, which is well, why don't you just share everything? It's at IG Famous by Dana, right?
At IG Famous by Dana. I just
And
really
it's
have them in a TikTok, but mainly Instagram.
all right, you guys support Dana, follow her over there, and just binge her content. It's really good. She covers a lot of celebrity gossip, pop culture, but she also focuses a lot on like cosmetic procedures and plastic surgery and Ozempic usage and a lot of things that with the celebrity scape. It's like really, really cool, interesting stuff that you don't see on every like Bravo creator account.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think I do that first. Surgery first, Bravo second.
All right, surgery and then Bravo, and then Bethenny. All right, well, you're the best, Dana. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, dosers, I will see you tomorrow. As always, make sure to subscribe, like, share the episode. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Oh,
Uh, that was
sorry.
good.